Yo, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the truth. It's the bald, the beard, and the fucking dad bod god himself, Piers Austin. And I am once again joined by the man with the three largest legs in professional wrestling, the OG himself, the original greaser, the one, the only, Robbie fucking Zuko.
I get the clap.
Yeah,
How good's that?
you get a pop, bro. You get a pop.
I got a great pop. That was fantastic. Can you do it again? I've never felt like that was great. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
You get one pop at the beginning, one pop at the end. All right. So we don't want to pop our load too early. But you know, bro, before we get into tonight's episode, I want to take a quick second just to thank our amazing sponsor for tonight. And that sponsor is Sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, Sleefs.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to go and check out Sleefs.com, my friend, because I'm telling you, they've got all your athletic wear and gear covered. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, headbands, boots, mouth guards, and they've even got these fucking dirty boxes that you always hear me raving about. Now, listen, Rob, I'm an active fucking dude, man. I work a full-time job. I've got 3 crazy kids. I've got 1 crazy wife. Just kidding, darling. But I'm at the gym. I'm on the go. I'm podcasting my ass off all hours of the night. But I tell you one thing, bro, these dirty boxes are the most comfortable boxes that I own, that I actually got rid of all my other boxes, bro. They sent me boxes of these boxes. These boxes stay dry. They stay fresh. And they've got funky designs at the front to keep that special person in your life giggling when the belt buckle comes undone at the end of the night. They're actually laughing on what's on the front of the boxes, not what's inside them. So that's pretty cool. So go and check out those dirty boxes. Use that promo code MWA pod to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you are finding us, I appreciate you for tuning in. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, tap the bell to stay notified, tap the little red button and tap in, because you know I'm bringing you and Robbie's bringing you some of the best conversations in professional wrestling, mixed martial arts, all combat sports, comedy, entertainment, music, pop culture, content creators, you name it, we bring it. So this is the place for you. Also, if you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. It helps with our analytics. It helps us bring more amazing conversations with more amazing fucking people like yourselves. So get to clicking, get to tapping, help a brother out. Does a lot for me. Listen to the fucking ads as well, because that fucking pays the shit. That's what keeps the lights on up in this bitch. But tonight, I'm excited to have my guest on tonight, bro. Or our guest on tonight. Our guest is one of my favorite people in the entire world, and I know I say that about every one of my guests, but this time I actually mean it. But dude, let's get in. Have you got anything else you want to say before I introduce our guest, Rob?
No, you've said it all. I can't beat that at all. You've said everything you need to say. No, you just keep doing what you're doing. Doing fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much, man. Like, I always make sure, I want to make sure you get your shit in, Rob. So it's important, you know, like, we've got the
me, bro. I don't get any spots.
Hey, you're the gilf magnet, bro. You're the grandmother demographic they're all trying to get, you know what I mean? So that's what you bring to the table, bro. We appreciate it. But let's get into our conversation with the one, the only, the motherfucker, Akell, baby.
Motherfucker.
Hey, what's going on, boys?
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. We're here with Akell. As I said, one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I know I say that about every guest that I have on here, but this time I actually mean it. Akell, welcome to the show, bro.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for putting me over huge. I love you too, Piers. I love you, Robbie. What's going on,
I love
boys?
you, bro. Good to see
man,
you.
I didn't say that, but we'll roll with it, bro. No, I'm kidding. But dude, it's good to have you on, man. I appreciate you, giving up a bit of time on this Sunday evening to come and shoot some shit with us and have a bit of a conversation and tell us a little bit about your story, man. So I appreciate that.
Man, I'm keen as, honestly, dude. Like, we just got off the back of a crazy show yesterday. I'm a bit dusty, a bit hungover. Some crazy stuff went down. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be on here, man. It's been a long weekend, and I'm just giving everything to wrestling at the moment, and I love every minute of it.
So what was the show? What was the show last night? Sorry, Rob.
No, so exactly what you're doing.
So it was APW. We did it at Bexley Manor Hall at the little function hall there, which is like a classic. I love this room for wrestling because it's literally just like an old hall. Like it's just got this great like vintage vibe to it. But we did APW there, and we had some whole crazy cast of characters. Obviously, like run by Birdman Phil Picasso. So it's a blast. It's a wild experience. It's an experience backstage that you'll never get in any other promotion. So I'll tell you that.
The king of Aussie Biffo, eh?
The king of Aussie Biffo, man. But yeah, what a blast, dude. What a blast.
How was the show overall, bro?
The show was good, man. I enjoyed it. Like it's one of those things. It's a wild. It's just one of those like wild experiences in the sense like you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know first of all, you don't know what's on Birdman's mind. Secondly, like when you get there on the day, like, you got people running around sort of, they're sort of like they're not quite sure what they're doing, but they sort of know they're here to do a job. But it's one of those places where, it's cultivated this experience that I have never seen from any wrestling show ever, and that's one of the sole reasons why I do it. And honestly, with Birdman, it's one of he is probably in Sydney one of the like known Australia wide one of the craziest characters. So just to be around him is just a blast. Like it's not the way to explain it. And Rob, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly. I was around him for 20 something years, and I was still around him. Every time I see him, all I do is laugh my head off. He's just. He even says, Rob, I'm mad. I know I'm mad, but it's entertaining. It's entertaining. So, he's the best.
I love Phil, man. I really do, bro. Like he's one of those real characters of the Australian wrestling scene. I feel like it's not wrestling. It's Aussie Biffo. Yeah, it's just he's an enigma in himself, bro. Like he really is. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that. But I feel like I could say that about a few people in this scene as well. You know what I'm saying?
100%. I'm really hoping he gives me a green light so I can go and do like I was telling you guys obviously in the green room chat. So for my for my documentary treatment process, I had to come up with a documentary idea. I wanted to explore, like themes of pro wrestling and ego and pro wrestling and image and pro wrestling and representation, all this stuff, right? And how that collision of characters reflects with like your identity and how it sort of morphs something. And that guy is an enigma to himself. So this documentarian who looked over my work, he said, this is a phenomenal topic. Like you should definitely try and see if you can do this. So I was like, man, I like part of being around this, getting to know him, getting to know how he ticks. It's just like the best. It's the best thing ever. And I'm honestly, I'm honored to call him a friend because I used to watch him at IWA when I was like 10 years old. Obviously, like, not try to mark out, but that little 10-year-old marking me, it's like, it is what it is.
Oh man, so it's about Birdman, obviously, and what's the actual title of the actual project that you're doing? Is it actually called Birdman?
Look, it's early stages. I don't know if I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of names and different things. He's told me he's keen to do it. There's a lot of people around that are keen to see it, but we'll see. We'll see if it actually comes to fruition. It's one of those ideas where it was meant to be like, so it was meant to be like a project for the project. It was meant to be like just to find an idea and do it. So it was the project and the assignment was actually theoretical. But now that guy sort of told me to go for it, I mean, I got to, get the clearance and see if we could do, but it's up to Phil really. And it's up to a lot of the people around who want to be involved.
Fantastic.
Dude, I feel like that could be like a really entertaining documentary. Like I had the thought of,
Hell yeah.
I actually had the thought of doing something similar like a couple of years ago, and I actually was in talks with a director who was put in contact with me with a friend of mine in the music industry, and like this guy was like super keen. He was like, yeah man, I'll shoot, I'll film it all, everything like that, you'll narrate it, you and I will sit down and write the whole story behind it. He goes, then we can sell this documentary, and this could be like, he saw money in it, because I was like, yeah, we could do the Australian wrestling scene, basically go to all these different wrestling shows and show like the different elements of Australian wrestling, like the higher echelons of the people that are trying to get signed, to the people that are up and coming, to the people that are like the weekend warriors, that, I mean, all the different aspects of it, from deathmatch to whatever it may be, from these different aspects of it. And yeah, this guy was interesting. I feel like there is more story to tell in the Australian wrestling scene as far as like a documentary to be made, because I don't really feel like there's anything that really has been made that's been put out there.
I think especially locally too. I think if you can cover the grittiness of the real true grittiness and like mom and pop shop element of local wrestling, I think it's like something that people would go wild for, because I think it's kind of like, and you it's sort of like Vice, Vice was doing those Dark Side of the Ring stuff, and like,
Yeah.
like it's sort of on the nose of like, the chaos behind pro wrestling, and that's what's really sold for their pro wrestling documentaries. So if you can capture like a local thing, and even with like, okay, so like, even for example, if you want to take like Mickey Rourke, right? Like Mickey Rourke and the wrestler, like Darren Aronofsky. That's his name? I don't know if I got that wrong, but yeah, like if you look at his work, it's kind of like, man, like he needed to capture that sort of like CZW element. He wanted to touch on sort of like, the biggest stuff with Ring of Honor, but obviously with the CZW one, he wanted to capture that local grit. You know what I mean? And I think that's what sold a lot of that too. And I think they see selling potential in that.
Yeah, well, I think it's also the level of the realness of how it's shot as well, because I feel like when you look at how that scene was shot with him and Necro, right, is like when you see him landing on the thumbtacks, you see him backstage and he's like having the shit pulled out of him and he's vomiting, and you know what I mean, like you can see that his body's going into shock, and people are seeing more of the aftermath of it, whereas I feel like most part of the sense the wrestling fans, and even more so the deathmatch wrestling fans, they see the moment of the impact, but they don't see the aftercare. They don't see the the grittiness of it. And I even feel like with that in wrestling in general as well, bro, like fans don't see the the injuries that the guys sustain. It's like after the matches, like trying to stand back up, and you know what I mean, or like the next day trying to get out of bed, all that bullshit. Whereas like when they show that sort of stuff and when they captivate that sort of stuff, they humanize wrestlers. And I think that's where the audience then connects with them, because they see that on a human level. It's like when Jake the Snake in Dark Side of the Ring, right? Like before Dark Side of the Ring, I love Jake the Snake Roberts, right? After I saw not Dark Side of the Ring, Beyond the Mat. After I saw Beyond the Mat, man, I looked at him in a whole different way. Like it was like some of the most saddest shit I'd ever seen in my life at that stage in my life. You know what I mean? Like that was some sad shit, bro, because it humanized him to us. You know what I mean? He showed that he wasn't perfect. He wasn't thing. And even that, whereas like you show where these guys get hurt, that's where fans can actually connect more with them, I believe.
Yeah. And even the reasoning, is the reasoning to why someone would do it, especially like you look at, okay, for example, you look at like someone like a Bourbon, right? He's 57. He loves this thing, right? Sorry to drop government age, but yeah, he's
he's 63.
Is he? I got that wrong.
Yeah.
Someone told me he was 57, but you look at someone like that and they go out every day and they're like, why do they do this? You know what I mean? Like it's like all the things, like it's that little, if you can capture and try and get people to understand, just for like, is it a validation thing? Is it like, is it the drug of actually the adrenaline of doing it? Like, and if you can get like audiences to understand that, I think that's kind of like a pretty like big sort of you know, on a mainstream level, that'd be a pretty big realization to some people, especially anyone in performance can understand that. Anyone who goes to gigs can understand that, you know?
Yeah. The thrill of the performance.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah, I have a similar metaphor. It's like a heroin addict, right? They take the drugs. After a fair few times, they take it not to get sick. It just becomes addictive. You know what I mean? But they have to still take it. Why? Because they do. You know what I mean? So that's where a lot of people fall in that rut. But in Birdman's case, I think he generally loves the business. He really does enjoy the business. Like,
he lives and breathes it.
He lives and breathes. You know, he just absolutely enjoys the entertainment side of it. He gets kicks out of it. You know, it's just part of him now. So,
I mean, like
you see it like in terms of like, and a lot of people like to use like derogatory terms. Oh, we still good?
No, keep going,
I think some audio came through. Sorry, I thought some audio came through my headset from delayed. But yeah, no, you see, like even for like some people, it's like people use the derogatory term like cosplay wrestling, right? A lot of people are out there playing a character or the ideal character of what they would want. And I think the reason why people like sort of give that a negative connotation is because people think, you know, they create this idea of this ego in their own head, the superstar in their own mind, all these kind of concepts. Whereas like, if you look and strip back on it, probably most people would tell you to just do what's best for the show. But a lot of people get caught up in that. And like, what is that? What is that character and ego combination where the government, the shoot person becomes the performer?
Well,
sorry,
that's when
it's fucking deep.
No. Well, I think that's when it's like that's sort of
what's
life.
A cosplay wrestler?
But that's kind of like that. That's when like life starts imitating art, though, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, essentially. Well, the cosplay wrestling, like when people say cosplay wrestling, like, you know, there's a lot of people that go out there, you know, like not to name anyone specifically because it's quite mean, but you know, there's a lot of people that go out there and they say, you know, oh, you're cosplay wrestling, you're dressing up as what you want to be or what you saw, or what you created on SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, and like you think that's going to sell to everyone else, and you want to go and hit all your cool moves, and you want to go do all your like gimmicks that you created up in the game or whatever, or you know, in your own head.
Gamers. This is all coming from gamers.
Not just gamers. It could be like any sort of vision of like people trying to, you know, be some version of themselves, which is like what they want to be.
Yeah. Well, normally you do try and, you know, whatever you envision, you do try and put that into practice, but then that's going to get proposed to the actual promoter, and the promoter will, if he's sensible enough, will look at that and go, no, that's terrible, won't do shit, or yes, let's give it a go. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think 9 times out of 10 the promoters these days go, do what the fuck you want. Yeah, no worries, go. We'll see you out there. And they go up there and they go, what the fuck was that? Like, it's well, like, look, you've let it go through. You know what I mean?
Well, yesterday Phil was like, times, what are you talking about, times? You come up, you stink up my show, you get out of here, that's it. Go as long as you want.
Fuck me dead, bro. Fuck. Jeez, man. But you know, like, dude, like you broke in under TNT, right? Under Greg?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So
what's it like training under Greg Bounds?
Man, it's awesome. Like, it's one of those things where I'm kind of, so like in our situation, we pretty much like, well, actually, to tell a bit about my story, essentially, I used to train with Greg back when I was like, so I used to watch shows when I was like 12. Like, so I used to train with Greg, started training with Greg about 13 years old, right? My dad would actually write me a permission slip to the school to go and do that for school sport instead of doing regular school sport. So I would go train with.
That's cool as fuck.
Yeah, so I would go train with Greg in this boxing ring. This is why, like, you know, like I look up to him so much because I've, you know, as a young kid, I was always watching his matches. I was like, man, really, like that was just also like impressive. It blew me away. So, you know, he took me out. So for school sport, I would do that with him for a little bit. And then eventually, like, obviously the travel got a bit too far and other things got in the way. But I essentially with Greg, I came back training with him in late 2020, but that was pretty much because of the pandemic. Like I always wanted to wrestle, and then I was like, no, I got to go do real stuff. I got to go make money. And then like when the pandemic came around, I'm like, oh, maybe maybe I need to start doing the things I want to do. Like it was kind of like a whole reset for me. So I started with him in 2020, like late 2020, and debuted early 2021. So it was a quick turnaround, very quick turnaround. But it was with Greg. He sort of like, I was there, 4 days a week, 4 days a week training out of a little place in Chullora. So just really sort of like speed course for me, like just got me up to basics. And surprisingly, even since from when I was 13, I still like didn't forget how to bump. So, I mean, the first one was a bit shaky or whatnot, but then got into it over time. So for me, like, I can't like stress enough how, important of an influence Greg's been to like my career. Like, and I'm glad to consider him a good friend. Yeah.
That's the first time on this podcast that anyone's really put him over like that, bro. I'm going to be honest. It's, I like, bro, I don't have any beef with anybody in Australian wrestling, bro. Like, you know what I mean? But like, like no one really says anything negative about him, but it's like no one ever says anything to, you know what I mean? Like he's just one of those guys people go, yeah, it's TNT. You know what I mean? It's Greg. You know what I mean? Like no one really.
He's got that cult of personality too, like the Birdman has in some sort of senses. Like, I mean, you look around the sort of like country, a lot of people know Greg Bounds. A lot of people, some people might want to say negative stuff about him. Some people want to say positive stuff about him. But to me, like, like I've always seen it. Like, that's why I tried to give you a bit of the context of the backstory. Like, from 13, training me, taking me in, all that stuff, under his wing. Like, it's just only positive things to say about him in that regard. That's my experience with him,
Yeah, sure, man. No, we respect that.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have different experiences with people. You know what I mean? Like most people I've spoken to would say that Robbie Zuko is a complete cunt. And, I 100%
me too. Yeah,
agree.
me too.
Yeah, like he's
That makes you feel better.
Hey man, we bring him here for the grandmother demographic, brother. But
that's it.
Like, bro, like Robbie, on that, like, did you ever cross paths with like TNT over your career? Like, did you guys ever wrestle each other? Did you guys ever face? Really? Where at?
Yeah,
like, what was the deal?
It was Super Show. So I think Greg was in 10 years. I think I was in 4 or 5 years in the business or something like that.
Yeah.
It was Super Show at Newcastle. So we wrestled each other. It went well. You know what I mean? We worked pretty well together when we had the match. The match went really, really smooth. It was good. It was fun.
Did you get the run through? Did you learn the language? He's got like an interesting language when he puts together matches. It's
well, he did his he wanted to do certain things that he wanted to do, which is fair enough. And then of course at the time I just did whatever I wanted to do as well. But I didn't do a hell of a lot. Once I came back from the States, I wasn't spot orientated. A few spots here and there, and then just work through the match. But we had some chemistry out there, which was good. Yeah, it's a Super Show. What was it? 4 when they did like Newcastle. So it was yeah.
Would you work him again?
He was always nice to me anyway.
Would you work him again?
Yeah, I'd work him again for sure. You know what I mean? He still does it, right? Like, because I haven't seen him work for a while.
Like I have a bit of a theory about like sort of that stuff. Like I know like a lot of people that train under like that we train under a TNT. It's sort of almost like in the situation like he'll put together matches and he'll know like what people are capable of. So a lot of times people in AWF like in some situations, say you got him working with like a newer person, like you'll sort of see him in a bit of like a cruise control mode. But then when you the charity show AWS, like I think I told you to check it out the other day, Piers. The Ricky South versus TNT match. That was pretty something special when you think about like sort of obviously like the age gap and everything else, and sort of like the sort of the matchup of sort of like the different generations and the way it sort of worked together. It was good to see him in 5th gear, going full detonation time.
Sir.
Sir.
Hey man, you know what, bro? Like, in all fairness, bro, like any interaction I've had with Greg has always been kind of like he's always been positive. He's always been nice. You know what I mean? Like, he's never been disrespectful. And like, I think I even said this before, is like, as far as like when you see like a lot of drama starting to pop off online and shit like that, it's like it's never really involving him. He kind of just knows the lane that he's in and stays in that lane, bro. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really fuck with anybody. You know what I mean? He's got his crew of people that he uses on his shows, and that's just what he, you know what I mean? Like, he just doesn't fuck with anyone, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of respect that as well, bro, because he just kind of does his thing, keeps to himself. You know what I mean?
There's a few like that around. Like you look at someone like a Vulcan, right? I mean, you don't see. I mean, obviously you see a bit of like obviously Wrestle Strong and Vulcan, sort of a bit of a crossover there now. But like in terms of Sydney, like Vulcan was like always staying in his own lane for the most part, like in a lot of ways too. But I mean, I think like back to Greg, I think one of the biggest reflections of him is like biggest reflection of a good promoter is a good locker room. And like I can't say I've had many places where like the locker room isn't as in check as it is in AWF, because like there's people that just they respect someone who's in charge, and sometimes I'm not naming names, but like sometimes you get like promotions where it's sort of like the chiefs are like the prisoners are running, the inmates are running the asylum, you know, that kind of old thing. And I'm not, you know, like in a lot of cases that happens. In a lot of cases, maybe it's better, maybe it works better, but like I've never noticed that in AWF, and I think it's a credit to why, you know, sort of like the locker room vibe there.
Yeah, it's important. It's always important to have that vibe going. You know what I mean? You want to have a good locker room. Good locker room promotes a reason for you to come back, you to enjoy the actual show, and you to actually go out there and perform better. That's my personal opinion. When you have a locker room like that, you're having a good time backstage, you're gonna have a good time out there. You know,
Yeah,
when you're having a good time out there, you'll do well.
It was like at Mortdale. I had a great time, even though the dresser was pretty small. I had a great time with that Mortdale backstage. That was a blast of a show. That was
we're all
like
sitting next to each other like sardines, going like all laughing, going, "What the fuck?"
that was like the last 5 Dog show at FWA, bro. Like, I'm so glad that I was doing commentary for like most of the time for that show, bro. And then I was like literally backstage for like 5 minutes before like I had to do the intro with Vinny and shit. And then I was like, it was like so fucking like you were just shoulder to shoulder like that. And it was like usually that venue you've got like the biggest space to get like room there. Everyone has like plenty of room. And it was like this time was the most ridiculous shit ever.
That show just fucking upset me, man. Like, oh, sorry, can I swear on you? Is that all right? Do we swear?
Yeah, bro. Fuck, I've been swearing my bro. I've been
I
going
don't even
hard
notice. I don't even notice. But
no, he can't.
That show, I don't want to like. Obviously, that show just fucking upset me because for a number of reasons, and I understand like the limitations backstage, but like the thing that like pissed me off most about that show, the first time I've ever attended a FWA show, I love going out and attending random shows and seeing what the vibe is like. You know what I mean? Like Rob caught me at AWE the other night. And I was like, "Hey, bro, I'm here," and you're like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I was just trying to get booked." Nah, but then but I was at FWA and there was like obviously there's restrictions in the locker room, but like the Rumble, like in the Rumble, the thing that annoyed me the most, I guess, for the most part, and you know, just no hold back, I guess, like when people were getting eliminated, they were like staying in the crowd. They would get eliminated from the Rumble and then they would go and grab a beer and drink it, right? And they'd be sitting. Yeah. Do you like I don't want to like sound like maybe this is a bit old, I don't know, is it old school, but I think it's like I think respect trickles down in wrestling in terms of like promoters and whatnot. And I know like and Piers, I'm not like shitting on FWA or you because no. You didn't do that.
It's true. I know where you're going with this. I know exactly where you're going with this.
Respect trickles down, and there was people that just walked out, didn't give a fuck, and they just went and grabbed a beer. And like I'm just sitting there, I'm like, this is like destroying the whole illusion for anyone who wants to come watch wrestling. Now they're just another person. They're sitting there, and even the heels and the faces are high five and taking photos. Like, what's going on? Like, what kind of?
And as you said, it's a if you don't respect the head honcho from the beginning, you're gonna do fucking shit like that. You know what I mean? You're gonna do disrespectful shit like that. And to be honest, you really shouldn't be doing that at any show. But you're going to because you're not taking it seriously because like Well, the promoter doesn't take it seriously, so why the fuck should you? Should us? We go out there. They should be obviously the smart thing to do would be just to sell, go backstage, but they don't. They obviously want it.
Well, let alone respect wrestling. Oh, sorry, bro.
No, I feel like, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like I can understand that as well, bro. And I feel like I've been guilty of doing that once in a show, bro. Whereas, like, I was, came out, did the manager gimmick, and I was backstage. I was really hot. I was sweating. I was like profusely sweating. I was in a suit. I just needed to go get a cold drink, and I went backstage. I got out of my suit, got changed. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Put my cap on or whatever, and just walked to the bar, got a drink, and then I went and sat at the back of Rob. You know
no. He's not saying that. You're not saying that. You're saying straight from the Rumble, they just didn't even go to the back.
Yeah, there's a few people.
No, he's saying they didn't even go. They didn't even fucking go past the actual curtain. They just stayed out there, stopped selling, and time out, only get a beer, and sit down and just have a laugh. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, bro, you know what's funny about that Rumble, right? So, like,
who was it? Who the fuck did that shit?
So,
some tremendous workers that just, I don't know.
So one of the funny things that happened in the Rumble. So me and Banks were out there ringside for the entire thing, and I literally tried to stay behind Banks the whole time because I just thought, like, I just didn't want anyone to fall on me and shit. So I was like, at least I knew I had Banks there as like, not to say he was going to fucking protect me, but it was like, I knew where he was. He would be like at a safe distance. So I figured behind him is a safer distance. So anyway, he jumps up on the ring to do a spot. Cowboy's been eliminated. I don't see it. Cowboy comes over, puts me in a fucking sleeper hold, right? I start freaking the fuck out, thinking like a member of the audience is just fucking like, because I had no idea what the fuck is going on, right? And then Cowboy's coming, he's putting talking to me in my ear, and he goes, "Oi, it's fucking Abbott, you silly cunt." He goes, "Get fucking Banks." And I'm like, "Oh shit, all right, yeah, Banks." Banks comes over, makes a save, fucking Cowboy fucking bails out. Banks gets up, does the spot. And it was like, dude, like it was that moment of just like, God, I had no idea what the fuck was happening at that moment. And then it was like the fact I knew it was Abbott, someone who I know and trust and shit. Like, I'm like, all right, cool. Like it's I know I'm not fucking in the shit here.
Well, Abbott came out, right? But he came out during the show, but he came out with like a hoodie zipped up to about here. Like, he was the one who was taking it proper serious, which is like, I was like, this is what we all should be doing. He had like a heather gray sweatshirt that was just like zipped right to here. So like you could barely see anything. He was like running around like
kayfabe.
Yeah.
Kayfabe, brother, that's the thing,
Maybe it's not that important.
I don't know, man. I kind of see when I see wrestlers coming out and doing like, going to the merch table after their match while there's other matches there. Like, I kind of look at that as like, you can kind of be distracting the audience away from.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the way that I sometimes could look at it, because it's like sometimes people in the audience go, "Oh fuck, that's Robbie Zuko. He just wrestled in the first match. Oh, he's over there now. Why is he standing over there for? Oh, you know what? I might go talk to him. He looks like a nice fella." And then
always just going to be a run-in. Could this be a run-in? People were like, "What the hell's he doing out here?"
Yeah, there's always those. But it's I guess people look at it. If you go to a theater show, you know what I mean? Do they what actually happens? Do they come backstage and then go out for a drink when you go to a theater show? No. So what happens at the end? They all come out, they all bow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not about kayfabe thing for wrestling. Everybody has their own opinions on that. But that's the way I look at it. If it's a show, and that's what it's meant to be, then make sure that you stay backstage. Or look, if you can do it, you can do it in a way where you can people go out there and they have a drink, they can stay on a certain side of the fence, and the baby fence stay on. You know what I mean? That's how kayfabe really technically works. It doesn't mean they can't go out in public. I mean, when I was growing up, I remember I went to a wrestling show at where was it? Manly Leagues Club, and gorgeous George Barnes there. He was actually he came out of the dressing room and sat right behind me, and he was like leaning on the actual staircase. You know what I mean? And he was a heel, And I went up to him and went like this to shake his hand. And the first thing he did, he broke kayfabe and shook my hand. You know what I mean? So I'm there going, wow. You know what I mean? So there is, so it's not just us that's done it. It was done back then too. It's just to a different extent.
But do you know what? Like, you see someone like on a big level like MJF who goes in and does like keeps fucking in character and flips off fucking 5-year-olds and throws fucking drinks on them and shit like that. Like, bro, like. Can you be that? Like, he's that level of heel, bro, but I feel like he really pushes the line in doing it, where it's like,
he does.
now I feel like now the audience almost feels like they're into it. It's like the guys that go to the fucking bars to get kicked in the fucking balls by a hot chick kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, they know they're going to be getting fucking kicked in the nuts, but they want to do it because they're going to be part of the show, bro. And that's kind of like, I feel like when they go to like deal with an MJF, it's like, hey, I'm going to get roasted by MJF tonight, or he's going to fucking throw something at my kid or some shit like that.
And there's a reason why he's where he is because he does that. You know what I mean? So that's just something we can learn off.
Dude, I had I heard a funny story. One of my earliest interviews, I was talking to this guy called Maven Bentley, who was a promoter over in the United States. And when MJF was coming up, like in his infancy of his career, so he came up to Maven and he goes, hey, I got this idea for an interview spot. And Maven's like, okay, cool. What do you want to do? He goes, I want to come out to the ring and I want to shit on the American flag. And Maven's like, why would you want to come out and talk ill of our American flag, our old glory? Like, why would you want to talk shit? And he goes, no. MJF goes, no, you don't understand me. I want to come out to the ring. I want to lay the flag on the canvas. I want to pull my pants down and I want to shit in the middle of the fucking ring on the fucking flag. And the promoter's just gone, no. No. Yeah, and MJF was like, but think about the heat. You know what I mean? Like, bro, for a young dude,
his mentality is, he's willing to go to whatever extents he can to actually to get what he wants. You know what I mean? So
that's some fucking crazy shit, bro. Do you think that there's someone? Do you think there's someone in the Australian scene that could fucking step into that role and really fucking do that?
Hell yeah. I do think that's the case. I think there's situations where I think obviously there's situations now where there is limitations in certain companies and certain areas or certain groups and camps of wrestling where they think that, obviously
pull back the reins.
Yeah, like heat based on race, you know what I mean? That's one that's not really kind of acceptable anymore, right? In some of the
I think there's heat based on race, sexuality, sex. I also think probably anything that's not of a moral compass is probably also at the moment really looked down upon. As like you look back, bro, like years ago when they did the fucking Katie Vick thing in WWE, where like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way in the world they would do that kind of shit again. The same kind of thing with like Val Venus and all that sort of stuff. They couldn't redo that again in this generation. And like, there's even stories that I've pitched for certain people, which I thought would be a really, really great story to tell. And it would push the lines in today's society of what we're going to do. And I think it would tell a beautiful story. But I got told, we're just like, yeah, but our audience would shit on it from the get-go and we wouldn't be able to get to the final story. When we did, they'd just go, oh, yeah, we complained enough about it. And, we don't have to be able to get the time to tell that story before people try and shut it. And that's the thing where it's like cancel culture coming in and affecting the arts, bro, affecting, creative entertainment, bro, where it's like, you know what I mean? There's a difference, bro. Like when you see an actor playing a role, bro, you don't go and think, oh shit, fucking Al Pacino really is, Michael Corleone or fucking Scarface, bro. You know what I mean? Like he's an actor playing a role. Whereas like people with wrestling, they don't have that disconnect. And I know I've just gone on a bit of a tangent, so I apologize about that.
No, that's right. But I think here's the thing. Like, I want to know why at times with the art form of wrestling, at times when it's convenient, it's real. At times when it's also convenient, it's very fake. So when the public perception of it, like, it's kind of like, you remember when like the Undertaker cut his hand off or whatever. And then they went on the news and they were like, how could you do this? And then Edge had to explain the whole thing about, Luke Skywalker's hand got cut off in Star Wars and no one had a complaint, and it's kind of like, I want to know what kind of, what is it? Is it just unknown? Like, why does wrestling have this sort of, reputation of it's either really real or it's really fake? And like, why can't people come to a compromise on what it actually is?
I think for the longest part of it is because the audience realizes that they've been worked for so long.
Yes, yeah.
So they don't want to look like they're really. I think they try and think by being the way that they are and how it comes across from them is that they're like, yeah, we're not being worked from that. You really are a piece of shit. Whereas like, they get that this is a work, but they don't really fucking get it, and it's like. Yeah, I mean, what you do in the ring is a work, but what you say on that microphone, that's 100% a shoot, bro.
Yeah,
and I've seen fans who interact like that, bro, and it's fucking scary.
And that's the thing. Movies were always fake to begin with from day one. Pro wrestling business wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was hidden. As you said, it was lied to. And it's just one of those things where you just can't really it's pro wrestling. The reason why people still always have that, confusion about it is because it's like a magician.
Yeah.
You know that the magic isn't real. It's an illusion, but you want to know the secrets. And that's what everybody wants to know about pro wrestling. It's kind of very similar. But in saying that too, there is no limits with pro wrestling anymore. You know what I mean? There's just anything that entertains, will work. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It just depends on what level the promoter is willing to go. And if you're someone like Vince, if you were in competition with Vince would be pushing the fucking envelope again. I promise you that. He'd be pushing the envelope and he would be, because they were all under stress when they had the Monday Night Wars and whatnot. But as soon as, they went, he had no competition. Everything's back to PG or whatever it is. And you have to say the right things and whatnot. Promise you, if AEW, become bigger, and their ratings start to kill WWE's, like I said, I don't know the ratings. I promise you, then Vince or the actual WWE machine will go to those lengths to be better that way. They will.
Yeah.
It's just because they had competition, and that's what it was. They were desperate. They're trying to create shockwaves.
I think cancel culture now has created this counter community into the sense where like getting cancelled is not necessarily always getting cancelled. In pro wrestling, it's different. But like in pro wrestling, it's different because if there's one promoter rolling the roost, they think this is bad, they're not going to book you, and then everyone hates you. But like, you look at like celebrities, like people who tried to be cancelled, they can't be cancelled. Like you look at like a Rogan or like a Tony Hinchcliffe or someone like that, just people that can't be cancelled. And you talk about people that like, get cancelled for things that they said 20 years ago, right? Like, I mean, have you seen some of the stuff that Vince said on TV, bro? Like, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, what he said to like Cena, he dropped the N-bomb in like one fucking promo.
He did. And Sabu, have you seen the Sabu bit? Where he's like, he walks in ECW, he's like, boys, I thought we're in Texas. We must be in Afghanistan. Look, it's a member of the Taliban.
And you got to remember where Vince is coming from. Vince is making movies. Vince is making a soap opera. So if that was in a soap opera, it would be accepted. It's the same thing. That's how Vince's mentality is, and that's what the WWE's mentality is or was. Why they're not doing that now is because they don't need to. They don't have the competition, so they can dial everything down and not go through that. But eventually, if they did get competition, they'll really have to start pushing the envelope, and because they don't want the whole thing to go down. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They don't want to get old, and
No,
exactly. I feel like now we have seen like a kind of a shift in WWE where they have gone from like being more adult and more adult focused in certain things. Like you see the stuff with Miz, like I've got big balls, and they've started to do little shit like swearing and stuff like that, and they're incorporating Rhea Ripley getting physical with like they kind of like the intergender style of wrestling. You know what I mean? Like they're skirting that line now more. Whereas like a couple of years ago, they were keeping that very separate. Where now it's like, okay, they're starting to go down that road. So,
Well,
I find it interesting though, bro. But can you imagine being a parent like who's not a fan of the business, right? But your kid is, and WWE, which has been like a child-friendly product for your kids like 8 years of life, and then automatically they've decided to change, and Monday Night Raw is going to change. So you've got Seth freaking Rollins, and then the next Monday it's Seth fucking Rollins. You'd be like, what the fuck? Like, bro, like, would you not think of that, bro? How do you explain that to your child? Okay, yeah, what you've watched for the last 3 years every fucking week, you can no longer watch that now because they've decided to go a different creative route.
Yeah, well, it's amazing the wrestling. Oh, sorry, bro. What were you saying?
Keep going.
I was saying it's amazing the impact that pro wrestling has around the world. Like Monday Night Raw, like still millions of people watching that, and at the end of the day, like people say like if they do decide to change everything, it becomes a whole different product, and it's the only one that's really actually changed complete demographics throughout the decades. Like you don't see that from like Home and Away. They don't change decades. They're not appealing to like punk audiences now. Like whereas, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: would ECW still survive in this day and age?
I think so.
If you did,
it would have had.
And what we're talking about doesn't mean anything. Right?
It would have changed with time.
Yeah.
It would have changed. I think it would have.
You had Paul Heyman doing the exact same thing, has a network, doing it his way. He's not going to change mentally.
I think we wouldn't have seen a TNA. I don't think we would have had an impact. I think ECW would have filled that void and would have been like the size of Impact is now. Oh, actually, no. I think they probably would have been the size of Impact during like the peak of it. And if they were able to keep that's probably what the size they would have been to. I don't think they would have ever gotten to a size of WWE, but I think they could have been the size of an Impact, which was probably a little bit smaller than WWE shows.
Well, they're always smaller, but I'm saying would they still be around?
Depend on the talent, man.
All they ever did was they swore, they pushed the envelope, they had certain storylines, which is weird because they had that crucifixion angle and they didn't want that aired or whatnot, but they were swearing their balls off with everything else. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, what the fuck? Like,
what's the line? Yeah.
Well, no, there was more to that though, because they were trying to sweet talk Kurt Angle at the time to come into ECW. Yeah. And Kurt Angle basically saw the crucifixion shit going down, and he just basically said, if you put any of this shit out with my image on it, with this on any of your programming, I will fucking sue you. And they basically had to go out there, do an apology and all that sort of stuff. And it's wild, man. It's wild. That was kind of the first scene of cancel culture, I feel, bro, because that was almost like they were going to cancel, because the crowd just didn't react to that shit, bro. It was dead silence.
With films like in the 80s, right? Like the FCC, or I think it's the monitoring board for the governing body for the movies, like they wouldn't let a lot of stuff happen. You know what I mean? And then it sort of, that was a change from the 70s, which they sort of were letting all the stuff happen. And every decade it changes. So, this time maybe like, in the 20s, maybe we're sort of fixated on the point of cancel culture, but maybe it's going to dip in sort of the late 20s. And I think it'll be like, free reign again.
Well, it's going to be completely uncensored, unhinged, unfucking wild. And
yeah. Because people reject the idea. Because people reject the ideas. They get so sick of it that they have to go the other way. And it's all just businesses and money trying to appease people.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think it's everyone is kind of at a stage now where they're kind of scared to really open up and say what's really on their mind, in thought and in fear of that, bro, of like upsetting the masses. And like for the longest time, like the people that are like, that are and I'm talking people of big name stature that go and they start getting louder and louder and louder. Like the whole premise of of these people is they first get cancelled. Okay, cool. You get your platforms taken away, you get your social media taken away, you still start making noise. Okay, the next stage is you go to jail. You still keep making noise, you still keep going down that road. Okay, no worries. Well, what's the next step from there? Death. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the thing. And then you kind of creating these people that, because they're just trying to like tell it how it is or give direct sort of stuff. Then these people are then becoming martyrs of their generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And then you get to see the people that sort of fit in, or people who like, rise above, create something absolutely crazy that's going to appeal to people. So
it's personal lynching, bro, is what it is. It's like when people used to lynch fucking like women back in the day when they thought they were fucking witches and fucking string them up and burn them alive, bro. That's the modern day of this shit, bro. You know what I mean? This person's fucking evil. Let's fucking lynch him, and that's what they do, bro. That's the 2023 version of lynching a person, bro. Straight out.
Especially if you got a business. Like I think with a lot of things, and with businesses and whatnot, this bit of a side topic, bit of a change, but like, sure. I think for like, like wrestling as a business, or like, any promotion that they consider individual business, they're going to want their business to be a certain way. But at the end of the day, it's like, what we don't understand is like, once you get cancelled, you lose everything. All your business, all your stocks dropped. You know what I mean? That's just the way sort of it works. So they're affecting, what people don't realize is not you just saying, oh, you can't be on Facebook, you can't be on Twitter, you can't do this because of this, or because we believe in this thing. You're genuinely affecting people's businesses, lives, whatever. Depending on whether it's, is it valid? Maybe not. But I think a lot of what I try to think about in being like sort of a young up and coming wrestler, like I don't really know as much as like a veteran would. Obviously, I'm just trying to figure it out. But I think wrestlers, what's very important is that they are their own salesmen. Wrestlers are their own salesmen. You know what I mean? We need to think about, I think people need to think about that more in terms of like the identity and looking at things like that. Like we need to look at ourselves as our own individual business and how we can sort of manage things and how we can promote things and merchandise and everything else like that. So it depends on what your product really is, not only as a promotion of product, but a wrestler as a product itself.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, consider yourself, your character, your thing, because you're going out there making money, considering that, your business and what you're selling.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people need to think about that more. We are salespeople. We are trying to sell our product to not just here, not just on the local level, but like for me, like, I'm trying to right now, like I'm trying to get in much better shape. I'm trying to look a lot better so I can promote a personal image that I can not only sell here, but hopefully one day, call it delusions of grandeur, but hopefully one day wrestle overseas, hopefully one day do all that. You know what I mean?
No, bro. It's
only delusions of grandeur. It's only delusions of grandeur when you don't put in the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you put in the work and you start, performing well and you start getting on a lot of shows, who knows? You know what I mean? Yeah, there's never say never, but it's the ones that don't put in any work that think they're going to make it. You just need to put in the work, and I'm not saying you'll make it if you do, but you got more of a chance to be looked at, because you're much more polished, and you have a better understanding of the business. So yeah.
And I think as well, you'd be coachable as well. You know what I mean? You see, because you can see certain guys and people in the business that, you know what I mean, that don't train, they turn up to shows and they just like, you know what I mean? It's like they have this chip on their shoulder. It's like they haven't really done anything to deserve to have that chip there. And it's like, why are you so mad, bro? Like you haven't done shit. And then it's like I hear stories of, people that are just going to all these crazy lengths to get workouts in, to get sessions in, to you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, bro, there's just levels to this shit.
And then other people are hardcore champions. Love you, Trigger. But what was I gonna say? I find it right now, especially with everything going on, like obviously I said, like starting with TNT was awesome, but at the gym we're at now, like the We're calling it the Australian Wrestling School. We've got like everyone there. We've got like Jordan. Jordan has helped me like realize so much more to wrestling. So Kasai has helped me realize so much more to wrestling. And I think the coachable aspect is so important. Like you just need to listen. Like that's all you need to do. You need to listen and understand. And I see people that, they sort of have all these crazy ideas for like their third match or their fourth match. And, like they're lovely people. But at the end of the day, like
they're doing a heel turn. They're doing a heel turn. Fuck me dead. I
love them.
What the fuck?
I love them to death. But at the end of the day, it's like, look, like we just need to. Here's a perfect example, right? There's a young kid at the gym named Ash, right? He's 16 years old. Okay. He went up and did a little thing with like David Carter the other day, right? And it is amazing. I just think about this. It's amazing to actually have like someone like David Carter be there on your like a beck and call away. He's just going to be there to tell you, like, and guide you through things, and just don't I wouldn't be suggesting any ideas. I would be shutting the fuck up, letting that guy roll with it, and letting him like put you through a decent match, because that guy, like, he's in the early stages. I was so happy that he was working with Greg, because whenever I got to work him, I was like, oh, thank God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy makes me look $1 million. He teaches me so much. And like, the match that I saw was up NCPW. It was great. Like it wasn't like it was amazing, but like for this kid's first match, it's incredible. Like just like because he listened, he didn't do anything out of the ordinary. He didn't want to do any crazy movie he saw on SmackDown vs. Raw, cosplay wrestling, all that shit. He just listened, and it's so important to do that.
Good. And Dave is a great worker. You know what I mean? And he knows his stuff. You know what I mean? Dave was always one of those unsung people that never got. Never really got noticed as much, because he was only working for one Fed or so, and he wasn't doing.
He only worked for Harper's, didn't he? For the
either Harper's, and then like for AWE, you know what I mean. But they weren't running, frequently at the time. They were running 1-2 shows a month, one show a month. Oh, sorry, one show every 2 months, something like that. But yeah. No, it's good. It's good that Ash listens. You know what I mean? And that comes down to being taught from the ground up by somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing. And that's why he's listening. Because once you get tarnished, like when you start the business and you get tarnished a bit, and you try and start from the bottom, you're like dealing with damaged goods. It's really difficult. You know what I mean? It really is, because you have to tell them, whatever the fuck you learn, pretend like you know nothing. That's the only thing you say to them. It's really hard for them to grasp the concept of that. So I need to go tomorrow and help out at the school, because I've got to show someone how to bump. You know what I mean? I got to show them how to bump, because they've got a bad habit, and it's not breaking for some reason. So I'm actually going to make a special appearance there. But it is important, and it's good that
That's
Jordan.
Cool shit that you're doing that though, man. Like to give up your.
Because the kids got potential. You know what I mean? People got potential, they want to learn, but fuck me down this hurdle, they just can't get over it. So we just need to push them a bit. Yeah, if it was 2 weeks, back in the day, 2 weeks, if you couldn't bump within 2 weeks, you're gone. You know what I mean? That's how it was.
Yeah,
I remember Dave telling me that when he broke in the business, they showed him how to do a couple of back bumps and said, if you can't do this in 2 weeks, fuck off.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I think the biggest problem, and maybe I'm wrong, and tell me if I'm not. I actually trying to get advice from Rob here, but I think that one of the biggest problems is like footwork.
Yeah, 100%.
I think
footwork, positioning, timing. It's also too. You got to have a bit of ticker. It's not gonna be fucking easy. It's not. It's gonna fucking hurt.
Yeah.
But you're used to the pain. You got to spread the weight. Your timing of it's going to be spot on. It's like, and then not only just taking the bump, but then actually someone coming at you and hitting you with something, so you can actually make the contact to take the bump. Because people fade and they freak out and whatnot. They take the fucking hit, and as soon as they hit you, go down.
Yeah.
It's something that like I said, I don't see a lot of it because I don't watch a lot of training, but every now and then I'll watch matches, and when I see someone bumping really bad, look, I'm 40 something years old, so if I bump bad, it's because I'm fucking 40 something years old. But when you see a young person, and I'm bumping better than a fucking younger person that's 19, well then there's problems there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
100%.
I think it's kind of like it's one of those things with like bumping. It's like, and this is the way like the reason why I enjoyed this analogy, because like Jordan told me this. He said, don't think about it as, you're getting better because of the new move you've hit. You're getting better because you should be like, wrestling should be judged on a system, like a scoring system. Okay, I locked up. Did that look good? Okay, I took the headlock. Did that look good? Did that look as good as it could be? I took the wrist lock. Does that look good? Oh, okay. I get to the how did the comeback go? It was the bump and feed fast. That should be the judgment. It should be like a point system of like what we can do if we're judging a good match. And a lot of people don't sort of have that mentality, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they
No,
trained that
100%.
way though? Are they trained that way?
Yeah, that's the issue. It could come on the trainers too. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, like with it as well, like the trainers have different methods as well. Like, is there different ways to do things? It's like, are you going to see someone doing a certain thing and going, well, that's all wrong, but in reality, it's just that trainer's style?
Yeah, there's different methods. Look, there's different methods of doing things. But we do see a lot of bad habits though with a lot of trainers. We do see a lot of bad habits come through, and but there's different ways to learn the same move. As long as you can execute it that way, in my personal opinion, I don't really care. As long as it it looks good, it's done well, the footwork's right, because you can teach it. As long as you got the same idea and it's done right, then it's fine. But a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't break it down a certain way to make it easier. And you got to make it easier for the student, because you got to make them realize, hang on, okay, you can do it like this and you can do it like this. Oh shit! Sometimes you just go, why are you doing this, this, and this? We can just do this. So it's you can't break it down. You can.
I think people train people to think that way too. Like, I think a lot of the times, like, people think, oh, I got to hit this really cool move. I got to do this really cool thing. But I mean, realistically, it's all just about how, like the best matches. I've come to this realization now that the best matches are the simplest ones. Like the ones that tell the story and get over. Like, it's just, to me, like, I've done a simple, here's a simple shine, here's a simple comeback. And, I've had it.
Yeah. No, you're right. Even the other night we were at training. Jordan was there. I went there and I trained with you guys. I shut my mouth and listened. And he even said it himself. He goes, drop toe holds, people do it. They cover both legs and they go down. He doesn't like it that way. It doesn't mean it's wrong, but he doesn't like it that way because you've got other options. And he was right about that. When you take the one leg and you've got other options to do other things with the leg, you know what I mean? So his method was a very, very good, effective method. We learned, we all learned a lot from that. I was taught a certain different way as well. But in saying that, it's not like it was wrong. It's just that his method gives you more options to actually transition and to do other stuff. You know what I mean? So it's good to have him breaking it down that way. And you learn different stuff from different people. You're going to learn, and then you got to adapt what you like and what you want to do in a match. You know what
and
I mean?
what works for you and that particular style as well, right?
Yeah. Well, there's been times in a match where I've just gone, fuck, I'm going to do it this way, even though I probably should be doing it that way, but I'm going to just do it this way, because that's the way I was more comfortable with, And it didn't look bad at all. It's just like, if it was like a wrestler or a veteran, they saw me do that, they go, oh, why did you do that? Oh, I just felt more comfortable doing it, so.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. The difference of how it can work and the simplistic of it all that it can be once you break it down, but then having to be so different, man, it's a completely different way to look at it as well. So, but for yourself though, man, like being a young guy in the business, like how have you found like navigating, like going from working with Greg and now like going and trying to get booked on other promotions, working with different like events, taking on different gimmicks and creative, and being around different locker rooms and different environments?
Well, yeah, I navigated it by putting on a Fly Guy mask and screaming buzz every time I came out, so that was good. But realistically, like the whole thing for me was, I guess, like when I really wanted to buy it, and like I saw a lot of my other friends, sort of like saying, "Come out, please come explore, come do more things. You know, like you need to work more shows, like you want to get on the run and work everywhere." And they just sort of they had to, like, at first, like I was like, yeah, I'm like, you know, I love AWF, but I had to sort of find ways to get out and do more in terms of that. But for me, navigating that at the start, obviously socially, you sort of, you know, I sort of got brought in through well, I got brought in through, like, obviously, like Mikey Lord. I was good personal friends with him. I was good personal friends with him, sort of in that clique with him and Mickey Vendetta. So I'd go with them to shows just to hang out with them as well. Like, you know what I mean? And then help when I was there, I'd help and do the ring. And you sort of I think sometimes you have to sort of make yourself known. You know, you have to sort of go out there and you have to sort of, you know, you have to take a buckle off. You have to take the ropes down. I wasn't on the show, but here I am. I'm helping out because, you know, I get that kind of guilt. If you attend a show and you don't actually, like, you don't help with the ring crew, but some people go, yeah, well, you're not booked, so why should you do it? Fuck that, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I feel this guilt. I'm seeing other people having to do this crazy ass schedule and put down the ring and get back to their mate's place at 1 a.m. and then put it in, and then by anything it's 2 a.m. You know, all doing it for the love of it. Why not give him a hand? You know what I mean? I think that was the most important part. I think I had to just, you have to make yourself known. You have to go out there and you have to help with rings. You know, grab a beam and get out there. Fucking, that's how you get to other guys.
That's a very good attitude to have, and that's a very good approach. You know what I mean? It's just that people see that. You know what I mean? People see that and they go,
they take notice of that shit too.
100%.
100%. And I just want to help the whole scene in general. That's my whole thing. I don't know if any of the 40 companies in Sydney are destined for greatness, but you know, I want to get my reps in and, you know, sort of have a go and see what else is out there, and obviously the style of different people's, like you need to know the style. You need to see different things from everywhere and those little pieces of knowledge. Like I trained with Liam the other night. Lee Morrow the other night, and God, I'm government naming everyone. I trained with Lee Morrow the other night, and, like, you know, he was sort of running me, like, telling me a little bit about what went down at the Nightmare Factory and sort of like what he sort of picked up from it and his stories and stuff. And that's valuable. And that connection wouldn't be made if you don't put yourself out there. If you don't work and get out there. And I see some people that, like, you know, sort of, like, kind of want to take off, and all love to those people. I kind of want to take off after the ring stuff, but to me, like, you know, like, you got to be there. You're young. You got to be there. You got to be on the ring. You got to be doing the things. Yeah.
As you said, you got to get the reps in as well, because we don't have enough shows here. You know what I mean? Even if you have one company running, you know, what do they run? One show every couple months, or, you know, so you need to do more shows, especially if you want to take it seriously or if you want to be a good worker. You need more ring time. People don't have enough ring time. That was always my thing. Always get more ring time.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, we got more wrestlers than we've got shows at the moment, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when we start seeing, like, little fucking, you know, feds popping up that are just, you know, lower quality, lower grade.
The Piers show. Piers show.
You got a soundboard? We're an hour and 9 into this thing, and I didn't know you had a soundboard, bro. That's crazy.
Hey, man, we gave him a old pop at the beginning of the show.
It's like that golden button. That's what it gets used. Costs money to use it.
I was gonna say, actually, I kind of forgot my point. But yeah, like,
you're showing respect. You're showing respect. You're getting the reps in. You're
Just get out there, and you shouldn't have to coach that in a rookie. I don't think.
No.
I think people should either be made for this or all in or not, because the wrestling journey is like an all in one for the most part. Obviously, you got your day job and everything else, but this privilege that you take on as a wrestler is way more than just, like, oh, I'm going to show up at 5 p.m. on Saturday and work my match and whatever. And obviously, like I'm saying, for rookies, this is strictly for rookies. Like, I know people have been doing it a long time, and but the thing is, for those people, I just go like, it's got to be, to me, it's like you got to be all in,
100%, bro. 100%, man. And you definitely have to be, bro. But we are at a stage, man, that I feel like I even said that to a young guy on a show that I was on recently too, bro. And he was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna go." I'm like, "Bro, you've never worked for this Fed before, bro. You know what I mean? Like, there's veterans out there fucking tearing this ring down, bro, and you're gonna walk straight past them and fucking good night, brother. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I said, it's my recommendation, a bit of advice, bro, and you can take it, leave it, and I don't really give a shit whatever you do with it. You know what I mean? But I would suggest you go and fucking make sure you're the last one there that leaves this building tonight. And that would, and I said, you take it, whatever. You can take it or leave it. It's up to you.
Yeah, we see it. We definitely see it. That's for sure. So if they think they can get out of it, no, they're dead wrong. Everybody sees it. Yeah.
And I feel like I've seen some like these young motherfuckers though, like when they're leaving the thing, like they just come into a show, like got their bags on and stuff. They just want to walk in with their wheelie bag. You know, I'm a fucking headliner, baby.
Keep going when you're like a couple more years into the business with no match.
Yeah.
I'm
the main event referee tonight.
I got a good little clique of boys that sort of like, I sort of keep close in wrestling, and there are a lot of young guys in there, and you have to humble, like some of these boys that I work with, you have to humble them, every now and again. You're like, come on, boys, but like it's good because I want to sort of, I'm in no place to be a mentor in this business yet, but I want to look after rookies who I think could be, like a value to the business. So sometimes I'm happy to see some of the personal growth in some people I thought that were like that had an attitude at first, but yeah. And that came with like a lot of the Yo Loco stuff, because the Yo Loco stuff, when me and Radecki, or mainly Radecki had Mickey Vendetta, mainly Mickey Vendetta had a hand in that and promoting that. Like I sort of wanted to give us some of the opportunities to some of the younger guys, because it's a kid show, and it's something that they're gonna remember, like the fun little slams and the characters. So I thought it'd be a good time to sort of introduce like that with some of the younger guys, and I think that little project worked out well, and it brought me closer to some of the even I'm a rookie, but like rookies in the business. So yeah.
But I also think, like, in doing that, bro, like I admire you for like taking a bit of initiative and wanting to sort of have a bit of a hustle there, bro, because like that Yo Loco place, man, like that went through every fucking promoter in Sydney, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you were kind of the one guy that was consistent there with them, bro. And it's like, I remember talking to that dude, man, and like he would seem like a nice enough dude, bro, but some of the shit that he would say, bro, I'm sitting there going like I remember saying that, and I'm like, I can't remember. I might have been with you, Rob, and like he said something. He's like, "Yeah, because I know the business. I know the inside and out of this business," and like, and I'm just sitting there like I've gone, "What?"
Like, oh, okay.
And then Rob's like, "Yeah, and Rob's like just G'ing him up, like going, "Oh yeah, tell me more." Like fucking,
tell me what you know.
I remember Gibbs was so pissed at him this one time, because Gibbs had a match there, and he's like, they don't want to see that, they just want to see like flips outside the ring. Gibbs fucking, he was so pissed. He fucking hates him, man.
But you know what, man, like it was a decent payday for a lot of the people who were able to do the shows, man, and for the most part it was a bit of fun. I feel like it wasn't a serious show. It was like just something for like people to go get some reps in, have a bit of fun, catch up with friends and shit like that, and then move on to the next show. You know what I mean? Like that's what it kind of was. It was just a fun fucking bullshit show.
I think so too. I think opportunity moves like fast sometimes. I don't know like why for me. Maybe it's because I do sort of go very all in on wrestling. So maybe like opportunity sort of presents itself to me. Like in some respects to do that, it was kind of a random sort of happenstance. And to be honest, in the beginning, I didn't really want to do it. It was sort of a position where I was there and, and
I think you did a good job, bro. I really did.
Yeah.
You showed your professionalism too, especially when you were asking people, to be on shows and the way you conducted yourself. You know what I mean? For somebody that's only like, rookie, you definitely handled yourself really well. You know what I mean? It was really good.
And I also feel sorry, Rob, to interrupt, but also knowing when to fuck it. But I also feel like knowing when to shut the fuck up and listen to people. I feel like you really understood that as well, and you could see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, sorry to interrupt there, Rob. Like, please continue.
No, keep going. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Just continue on. It's good. It's true though. It was and like I said, you just I think you did pretty well with it, considering everybody else had the book.
I really appreciate that, and I think one of the the stress levels was unreal. Like that's part of the reason in my life terms of like why I was happy to sort of let that go and put that on hold. Like the stress levels of running that thing was just horrendous. Like it was horrendous. And then obviously like dealing with like different chains of business, I'm sort of like the organizer, there's like a promoter, there's like everything else. And then there's the talent and doing that. And the stress mixed with the insecurity of running. My mind is like terrible for this, but I get deeply insecure about like who am I to tell anyone what to do in the organization of this when I've only been wrestling for a year and a half? You know what I mean?
But you didn't look. I've had promoters. Oh, sorry. I'll repeat. I've had bookers that have come in and then they've fucking just said, "Oh, this is the way it's going to be." Yada yada yada. And it still to this day, it's fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? Still to this day, I'm there going, "What the fuck are you saying?" Like, you know what I mean? You did not do that. You really didn't. You didn't do that. You didn't force things. Is it okay if you do this? Is it cool if you do this? Like, you don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to do something else, you know what I mean? Where I've had like bookers that have just gone, "Nah, you're doing this," and no bullshit. They've been in the business for fucking 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I'm going.
They want their Vince McMahon moment, right?
100%. And like I said, you didn't conduct yourself in that way at all. Which is what I liked about it. Is the fact that, okay, you just gave me the option. What do you want me to do? You just gave me, like you said, you gave me the option. Okay, do you want to do this? Can we do this? Yeah. Do you want me to do that for you? Okay, no worries. You get my respect. So that's that. I think you conducted yourself pretty well. Considering you've never done it before.
I appreciate that, man. It was a roller coaster, but yeah, I'm glad. I just wanted to make sure I had a sort of place in wrestling where, like, that show was about fun, and I wanted to be fun for everyone. But I don't know, And with Mickey Vendetta, we made sort of that happen and had that little fun vibe there, and obviously, yeah. But yeah, I'm happy to sort of close that chapter of the book until something reappears. You know what I mean?
Is that completely dead? Is that show completely gone?
It's not exactly completely gone. It's up to the big guy more than anything. So if he's sort of wants to restart that, we can, but it just depends. It's obviously got to be the right thing, but yeah.
Yeah, dude, I remember the last show. I was like, no one told me it was canceled. I drove a fucking hour and a half. I drove an hour and a half out there. And like I'm driving out there, I raced home after work, showered, shaved my head, got my suit dry cleaned and fucking pressed, fucking polished my shoes the night before, chucked everything in the car, drove out there in an hour and 90. Like I got there in like an hour and 55 minutes it took me to get there, bro, because it was Friday night traffic driving out west. And then I finally got there, bro, and I'm like, where the fuck is the production truck? Where's Rab's fucking ring truck? And I'm like, I don't like the feeling about this. And I open the door and I see this big inflatable fucking thing where the ring is supposed to be. And I just close the door behind me and I fucking open it up, my phone, and I go to the group and it's like,
I see a text message by Piers. Nobody fucking tell me. Oh my God. Piers got home to his wife. They never fucking told me.
Doug rang me.
Where have you been?
Doug rang me like a fucking, like, because I went to the thing and I saw the post. I was like, well, a message would have been nice because I just fucking got it. He's like, I'm so sorry. I go, bro, we were messaging each other earlier the fucking day, you cunt. Like you were sending me bullshit to me. Like you could. And then I was like, I drove home and I'm like,
did we get a message for that? Did we get a message or did we just
we did, but it was in the community.
I thought we just saw like a post. I don't think
we community group page. There's a community group page. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember if I got the message. I remember just seeing it on the actual the community. Yeah, it wasn't fucking.
No,
it
bro,
wasn't a messenger message, was it? No,
no, it was none of that shit. That's why I'm like, not your fault, bro. Hey, shit happens. I'm over it now, bro.
But that's another thing I should have mentioned. I should have mentioned Ryan Eagles is like, he seriously, like Doug, like, well, I think we had a really good thing going there between, him, Mickey Vendetta, and like, myself. I think it was a good little sort of chain command there because, Doug really came in and was like really helped, like in a really sort of serious mentor role, like to actually help us sort of move forward in that. And I was really appreciative of him for that. Like just, I mean, I trained with him when I was about 15, 16 as well. So it kind of had that little element of like, oh, cool. Like coach is back. But like, it was just really cool for him to sort of, help us out in that time, Yeah.
Absolutely, man. But I tell you what, bro, it is that time of the show. It's that time, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time when I bring up the questions. And I'm going to start the clock and I'm going to fire off a bunch of these motherfuckers. It's 60 seconds in Pierce. Some people compare this to, you're sitting in the hot seat. You got to spit the truth, the whole truth. Some people consider this like an enema. Some people consider it like taking a massive shit. Some people think it's fun. We're going to get this going right now. Akell, you ready for us to start the clock?
Start the clock.
All right. What cologne or aftershave perfume do you use?
Calvin Klein 1.
What reality show would you rather appear on? Survivor or The Amazing Race?
Amazing Race.
What was your nickname growing up?
Akell.
You have the ability to change the ending of which movie? Which movie would you, of any movie, which movie would you choose and what's the new ending?
Shawshank Redemption. I would have appreciated if you stayed in prison.
Would you rather have fingers for toes or penises for fingers?
Penises for fingers.
What game show would you kick ass at?
It's Family Feud, I reckon.
What was the shittest gift you've ever given someone?
I think I gave someone a vape, like a really shitty vape too that I didn't want and it was almost out. The blinker light came up, like 2 puffs left.
What is something that you love, but you're scared to admit that you're like kind of like a guilty pleasure?
Men. No. I like Shine. It's the new energy drink, Shine. Because every baby face needs a good shine.
And in 5 minutes' time, you are being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
My knee pads and my gear. That
Never know when you're going to get a booking, brother. Never know when you're going to get a booking. You've got to respect that. That's it, man. But Akell, look, bro, thank you for coming on, man. This has been a fun conversation, bro. I had a lot of fun with it, man. I know Zuko did as well. Bro, where can everyone find you on social media, get behind you, follow you, support you, get some merch, and see all that good shit?
So I got akellshop.com. That's where you can sort of get all my merch stuff. You on Instagram, you can follow me at Akell. Akell Graham on Instagram. Snapchat Akell Direct. Fly Guy Buzz on Instagram. I've got about 12 burner Instagram accounts. Lucha Libre Australia on Instagram. Yeah, but a lot of stuff. Yeah, Facebook page Fly Guy, Facebook page, just my shoot Alex Akell Kelly. And yeah, and Akell YouTube
start
channel.
playing the music when it gets too much, like start wrapping up the speech.
Wait. But I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank you all. I want to put over Tommy Trigger.
Music.
I meant to put over Tommy Trigger. Tommy Trigger, I'm putting you over. Tobias Hemmingsworth Jr., I'm putting you over as well. Also, July 8th, Mick Farouk, you're a dead man.
Righto, there you go. We even got worked at the end of it, Rob. So, but
Yeah,
man, look, I end this podcast asking the same question to everyone, and the question I'm going to ask you, Akell, is what is the one question that you wish that we asked you during this podcast, and if we'd asked it, how would you have answered that question?
Would you like a large mango magic from Boost? And I would say yes.
Fuck that. There you go, bro. Like, there you go. Next time we'll make sure we ask that question. We make sure we can get that across to you. But Akell, thank you for coming on the show. You are one of my favorite people in the entire world, and I do say that about every guest that comes on the show. But this time I actually mean it. Thank you for coming on the show. Rob, again, always a pleasure having you on here, my brother from another mother, and coming on and being my co-host for another amazing episode. But guys, make sure you go and check out our sponsor, Sleeves.com. Check out those dirty boxes. Use that promo code MWAPod to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, make sure you like, share, subscribe, tap the bell to stay notified, hit the bell, all that good shit. Until next time, I'm the truth, Piers Austin, where I spit facts like snakes spit venom. Make sure you hit that subscribe, follow, and we'll see you again next time on Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Catch you next time. Mwah! Peace, bitches. Oh!